This is James Basnett. I'm the Blockchain and Innovation Partner at Softvision. I'm joined today by Alexandra Moxin, who's the CEO and founder of Advanced Tech IO, building a social platform called Cnnect. It's a social media platform where people own their own profiles. She's also the founder and host of the Advanced Tech Media podcast. And we're also joined by Brandon Gilchrest. Brandon is a blockchain architect specializing in cryptoeconomic security. At Softvision, our blockchain program is new, and it's something that we are building for our customers across verticals. We see the power of blockchain technologies and the impact that they can have on the systems and information that we're building today. As a leader in technology development and digital transformation, Softvision is focused on helping our customers and partners understand blockchain and map it to their organizational objectives. We record Softvision webinars to help listeners understand technologies at a greater level, enabling for more creative thinking around products and solutions. We want you to come away with the knowledge and the new ideas to take blockchain back to your organization. In this webinar, we discuss how blockchain will impact customer profiles, loyalty programs, purchases, returns, and warranties, and point of sales and e-commerce platforms. We will take a look at market trends and how best to evaluate blockchain as a solution. We also discuss the strategy involved for assembling blockchain development teams and the impact on roadmap architecture. We also will explore the power of moving consumer and personal data to blockchain-based services and the impact this will have on global networks. Alex, to you, can you please tell us a little bit more about you and your venture?
Yeah, you bet. So I am the CEO and actually co-founder of Advanced Tech IO. We are building a social platform called Cnnect, and what it's going to do is enable, so it's blockchain based because we need a store of value. What we're trying to do is fix a lot of the issues that are going on with social media right now, which is it's a crowded space. You don't own your identity. Right now, you're the product. So we want to flip that on its head so that your content is now the product and you're able to monetize that in a really unique way. Also founder of Advanced Tech Media and hosted the Advanced Tech podcast, where we interview people creating the tech of tomorrow, which is kind of interesting. So we've been really focused on cryptocurrency. Another thing that I do is I'm part of the BC Blockchain Forum as a featured speaker and educator and lead organizer of the upcoming roundtable on identity. So the BC Blockchain Forum is a private public sector initiated by Digital Futures Build to explore the benefits of blockchain technologies and the associated creation of digital assets, promoting digital transformation and the digital economy in British Columbia and Canada-wide.
Brandon, can you give us a little bit of your background?
So I'm a blockchain developer. I joined a coding school, and one of my classmates there kind of made me fall in love with the blockchain and all its possibilities. We formed a study group, and we started a meetup, and then we started teaching these hands-on workshops. And from there, as the space exploded, our meetups got really popular, our workshops got really popular, and we've been teaching all around the Bay Area. So at the Stanford Blockchain Collective and at UC Berkeley Bitcoin meetup, and also in downtown Oakland with the Oakland Blockchain Developers Group. And then as well, I do security consulting for some blockchain projects because there's so many out there now. I'm kind of having a good time with that.
The interesting thing about blockchain is that it is a complex technology, but when people get it, they start to see the world in a different way. We are seeing this in the strategy involved in the management consulting firms and some of the large infrastructure solutions on this planet. The IBMs, the Oracles, the McKinseys, the Accentures, the Boston Consulting Groups, all of the organizations that are in charge of helping lead us into the future believe in blockchain and are building programs to help usher in that future. Blockchain is not a hurrying trend. It is something that is deeply transformational. It will allow organizations, systems, markets, and networks to all re-architect themselves. And it's because of that we think it's important to have this discussion around blockchain for retail as well as your personal identity. What we are finding is that there's a big knowledge gap between what blockchain is and how it functions, and the people that haven't quite got it yet. So we don't want to spend too much time on the basics today. We really want to talk about market trends and applications so that our listeners can go back and be more creative with the ideas that they envision for their organization. Brandon, can I ask you, can you sum up blockchain and what it is as a technology?
Okay, so as a developer, I look at blockchain as another data structure. It's just a way of categorizing information. However, the term is really an umbrella term for a whole host of technologies, including like consensus algorithms, which is like if we all have, say, separate databases of information, how do we all come to agreement on what those databases should have in them? What's the current state of the database? It's also a mix of peer-to-peer technologies similar to something like BitTorrent or Kazaa or Napster. And it's also, the first killer app for blockchain technology is Bitcoin. It's this technology that runs on top of the blockchain that allows an open financial system that's trustless, where you don't have to trust anyone in the network. You don't have to trust the hardware. You don't have to trust the software. You don't have to trust the other participants. The proof of work or the consensus algorithm you use is the only thing you actually trust. So you can actually audit the code.
There's that moment where I think conceptually blockchain clicks in people's minds. And after that, they start re-envisioning a lot of the systems around them. Within the retail space, there's a number of benefits that blockchain can bring. Let me just go through a list of these. In retail with blockchain, we can achieve efficient product tracking through the supply chain. We can have efficient and trusted cross-border settlements. There is authenticity verification for products and stock. There's a reduction in error rates through the supply chain. There's faster document processing. Documentation within blockchains is immutable, so no one can change it. Reduced delays related to administrative issues. There's real-time exception management, faster issue resolution, and increased trust between multiple parties. So there's a lot of different benefits that blockchain technology can bring to retail. One of the things that I think that we need to discuss here with our listeners today is just understanding whether blockchain technology is ready for industry, or is it something that is just working within financial and alternative currency markets with things like Bitcoin and Ethereum. So Alex, I want to throw this to you. Is blockchain technology ready for use today, and should retailers pay close attention to it?
I think they should definitely pay close attention to it. And is it ready? That's a complex question. There are some businesses that will definitely be ready to take on blockchain, and I definitely encourage people to be early adopters of this technology. Yeah, one of the really compelling things about blockchain is that it brings control back to the user, and it allows sharing of data in a way that you can control who has access to your data. You don't have to go through the long identity spiel. It's not held when you call in for your credit card or you call into customer service in a company. The other thing that's great about blockchain is and this is an open blockchain, not a closed blockchain. Closed blockchain, I think, closed blockchain systems will definitely have issues with security. Open blockchain systems, however, I believe, do not. And the reason for that is because there is no central there's no central party auditing the transactions. So you don't have to trust that centralized party. So I think any retailer looking to explore blockchain, I would definitely encourage you to use an open protocol, simply because there's far superior security. And that might be a little bit scary, especially for retailers and software suppliers who are used to operating in a closed environment, because you assume that you've got more control in that closed environment, but you actually don't. With an open protocol, you've got many more eyes on the code. You've got many more. It essentially abstracts out that trusted third party. There's some really compelling reasons to be able to incorporate blockchain. And while it is early days, definitely start exploring that. I would say probably in about 2 to 3 years, it's going to be much more widespread. It still is early days. There's an analogy that people say it's kind of like early days of the internet. So it's sort of internet around 1992 to maybe 1994. And I think 2018, we're going to start seeing a whole lot more interesting applications being built on blockchain.
Brandon, is blockchain technology ready for use today, and should retailers pay close attention to it?
Yeah, I think it was ready years ago. I think that when you're looking at various businesses, one of the things that's been hampering innovation has been the centralization of payments. So, we're all very used to, at this point, say a service like Uber, which has kind of decentralized the taxi service, right, ride sharing. But Uber is still a centralized company. Bitcoin, the first basically killer app for blockchain technology, decentralizes the payments. It's the one thing that the Uber driver can't handle on their own, right? They can't take credit cards, and that's why they need Uber as a service. And being able to take Bitcoin or use a blockchain to perform those transactions allows them to totally decentralize that service, and so they don't even need Uber anymore. And you're going to see this across retail is going to be the next area where I believe this is actually going to hit really hard, because once you decentralize payments, the entire rest of the structure, the centralized structure, is really in question. There's so many other areas that can be decentralized and will be decentralized once you start decentralizing the payments. So I think it's just a matter of time, and 2018, 2019, these are the years where this is really going to take off and people are really going to get it. We're already seeing adoption across numerous industries. We're already seeing like some very classic use cases for blockchain, like supply chain, where this is going to be just part of how business is done. And if you're not on the blockchain speeding train, then you're basically standing on the tracks. So I think it's already been ready.
Brandon, do you believe that it makes sense for retailers to be first movers with respect to implementing blockchain within their organization? Or do you think that they should stand back and wait until we see more success cases in use?
I'm a proponent of, fail hard, fail cheap, fail early. So I think they should jump in. Someone's going to get it right. And when that happens, you don't want to be trying to make up that time, that space. So being a first mover in this space carries a lot of advantages, especially with the crypto crowd. Like the crowd who's really into Bitcoin and blockchain and who's been into it for years, they gravitate towards companies that take this on. They know how hard this work is, but there's a certain amount of loyalty that companies are gonna have with this customer base. So I would say, yeah, take it on. And really put yourself out there. And this is a very fast-moving space, and you kind of want to attach your name to some of the more innovative things in this space. You don't want to be second or third or years behind.
Brandon, do you believe that the craziness within the cryptocurrency markets, the hype around Bitcoin and Ethereum, are scaring away storied and mature organizations from blockchain, because the crypto markets are just lacking the kind of control that a public organization is used to having within its technology stack?
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, they're when you look at Ethereum, my clients look at Ethereum, they look at the guy who's in charge of it. He's like 25 years old, and that kind of scares them. So that's being addressed as well. Hyperledger is run by the Linux Foundation, and it's a name that people trust. It's they run the Apache, they run Node, And they're basically taking the same protocols and giving you a different governance structure. Instead of Vitalik, a 25-year-old kid running this stuff, they have these mature, business veterans. So yeah, it's definitely been scaring people away. People are, a little hesitant to dip their toe in because they see the groups who were associated with this. It was very much a crypto anarchist kind of thing. It was very much a libertarian kind of thing. The first killer app for this stuff was the Silk Road. It's taken a while for the industry to kind of mature and to really become respectable in the eyes of industry. So.
Now at Softvision, we see a lot of our customers interested in blockchain so that they are prepared for it and its place in the respective market. Part of the education that we provide through our workshops and our blockchain programs is around helping organizations understand the difference between cryptocurrencies and blockchain as a standard technology that can be applied to a variety of sectors and systems. Alex, I'm wondering if you can tell us what the difference is between public and private blockchains and where you see that fitting into the retail sector.
Through proof of work, you establish security within a public blockchain. And I don't know if we should be calling it a public blockchain or an open blockchain, but definitely there's much stronger security in an open blockchain because you've got to spend the time doing the work. And what's interesting is people think, well, can I just spoof that? You can't really, because once it exists, once you've got probably 6 or 7 nodes and it's distributedly held, the amount of work that goes into reconstructing that and adding in a block that is not a formal block, sure, it could be a longer chain, but to prove that it belongs to the original chain, the amount of work involved is prohibitive. I think for a private blockchain or a closed blockchain, one of the issues that happens with that is it reintroduces that trusted third-party centralized authority back into the picture, which is what blockchain and Bitcoin, open blockchains and Bitcoin were created to address. So again, it brings back, instead of trusting the work, you're now trusting a corporation, which can definitely, in the past, have they proven their worth that they can be trusted? I would say absolutely not. In some cases, and that doesn't go to intention. Sometimes people have the best of intentions, but you just need 1 or 2 bad actors to completely destroy that trust, which is really unfortunate. So I would say that definitely public or open blockchains are the way to go.
Brandon, can you tell us a little bit about your views on private and public blockchains and which would work best in retail setting?
I tend to favor open blockchains in almost every scenario. For me, almost every use case where I've seen a private blockchain work, a distributed database would work as well. With the open blockchain, you are getting the distributed consensus and the cryptoeconomic security from that. And by cryptoeconomic security, I mean using essentially game theory or incentivization to achieve information security goals. So it's, in layman's terms, basically it's more profitable to be part of the network and a good actor than it is to attack the network. And that's what you get with an open blockchain that you don't have with a private blockchain. The benefit of a private blockchain is generally that it's a lot more scalable. The public blockchains now, Bitcoin and Ethereum, you're doing, a couple dozen transactions a second, maybe. And with a private blockchain, you can get, 100 times that easily right now. So there are some advantages of running a private blockchain. And there's a few use cases where I think that's the preferred way to go, but in general, I think there's going to be more development on the open blockchains and all the new technologies, all the new disruptive technologies are going to hit there first, and I think you want to really be on top of that.
Can I interject
Yes.
at one point? So I definitely agree. One thing that's also really important to bring up with with an open blockchain is that if you go with the private route, one of the issues is that all of your personal information is held within that private blockchain. So essentially that makes it so that, I mean, you look what happened with Equifax. It was one central database with all of the information for all of the clients. That leaves you really vulnerable to being hacked. So if it's held in a distributed manner, in an open distributed manner where there's far superior security, the likelihood of that happening is next to impossible. Even with quantum computing, I would say that's still next to impossible. A private blockchain, because it's centrally held and potentially open to, not exposed to as many actors, it could be hacked much more easily.
When we look at blockchain and cryptocurrencies for retailers, the benefits that they can provide are that they evolve payment systems to accept digital currency. There's a reduction in processing fees and the impact on relationships with credit card companies. So it gives retailers more leverage when they are trying to improve their transaction margins. There's a direct financial connection to the customer, which if accounted for can be totally transformational. There's ease of warranty information connected to transactions. There's no need for a receipt. There's a perfect database collection of the information around those transactions between the brand and the consumer. And it's also a solution for insecure data input and storage, so customers' data is far more protected. Brandon, when do you think that retailers will really be forced into a position of needing to integrate cryptocurrencies and alternative currencies into their POS and e-commerce transaction systems?
I think they're going to be forced to in the next couple of years. I think there's still some developments that need to happen, particularly around stable coins. Right now, it's very volatile. It doesn't actually make a whole lot of sense for people to pay for things in Bitcoin right now, for instance, or Ethereum or any other currency if you believe that currency is going to appreciate in value, right? It's better just to hold them and then give them your US dollars. I also think that companies that deal with the third world or who deal with like the unbanked or the underbanked a lot are really going to want to take cryptocurrencies. There's a lot of payments being made, say like across borders, where it's a really good idea to accept cryptocurrencies. But I think in first world countries, it's not going to really make sense until that stablecoin thing is really worked out.
We're going to move on to looking at blockchain and its use around identity management. Within the identity management space, blockchain allows for the tokenization of people, and in the world of retailers, therefore customers. Blockchain technology can be applied to identity applications in areas such as digital identities, passports, e-residency, birth certificates, online account logins, and a whole host of other identification. Creating an identity on blockchain can give individuals greater control over who has their personal information and how they access it. By combining the decentralized blockchain principle with identity verification, a digital ID can be created and assigned to every online transaction of any asset. Alex, I'm wondering if you can tell us where you see blockchain with regards to identity management and why you're so excited about the applications.
Sure. So I think there are the ability for the user to control what data is shared with what party, and the ability to revoke that control is quite compelling. So all of a sudden, you no longer need to spend 45 minutes signing up for a bank account and providing all this personal information, like last few employers, birth certificate, social insurance number, potentially passport number. You can just provide a few key metrics to a particular retailer, and that's good enough. So I think that's really compelling. One of the things that will do is that will cut down on transaction time. So if you're setting up an account, instead of spending 45 minutes, a retailer will be able to process that securely and accurately, in 1 to 2 minutes potentially, which is pretty compelling. Now, one thing about blockchain is that you don't actually need identity and trust in an open blockchain protocol. So there is that aspect to consider. So it's definitely definitely something I think that needs some more investigation and some more compelling use cases. But there definitely are a lot of benefits to addressing identity utilizing a blockchain.
Great. One of the ways that we see blockchain identity having application within the retail sector is around loyalty programs. Loyalty programs give the ability for consumers to have just one loyalty wallet that connects to all of their favorite brands and all of their transactions. This is really great for consumers, but it might not be great for retailers. And if it's not great for retailers, will they be incentivized to be able to build a decentralized loyalty program? In retail, and with respect to loyalty programs, blockchains can significantly improve loyalty programs by converting reward points into digital tokens that their customers can use at potentially any retailer or at a store within any country. So it allows for borderless transfer of loyalty points attached to their transactions. Retailers can also offer consumers digital tokens as a payment method. So now you are seeing a bridge between standard transactions as well as loyalty point transactions, which will make it easier for retailers to be able to manage when they are, which will make it easier for retailers to manage their transactions across their programs. The average U.S. household participates in 29 different loyalty programs, but only use 5 to 12 of them. 77% of consumers participate in retail loyalty programs. 46% have joined a hotel program, and 40% are part of an airline program. Loyalty customers we've seen across the retail spectrum spend 67% more than new customers. Merchants can offer these tokens to their customers as rewards. The token exchange happens instantaneously. The tokens can be accessed through either the customer's mobile phone or web browser. Because of this omni-channel experience, users can transfer, sell, or exchange their tokens on open marketplaces for other loyalty tokens or fiat money. So, Brandon, do you think that it makes sense for retailers to transition their loyalty programs over to the blockchain?
Yeah, I really do think it makes a lot of sense. It's going to require a new way of thinking. I think a lot of the loyalty programs that exist now are kind of siloed. When they transition to the blockchain, they need to think more like the airlines and the hotel industry, where you have two separate industries which are related and work together, and their points can transfer between your airline, your hotel, your shopping. And that's the way loyalty programs are going to work in the future. That's the big advantage of having it on an open blockchain where it's interoperable with different systems. Normally, when you have, say, like two airlines that merge, they have these gigantic databases full of customers that they then have to merge. They have to merge these two loyalty programs, and that's a really hard process. If anybody's ever been part of, say, like the Delta Northwest merger or the Virgin and Alaska Airlines merger that's going on right now, you know that you might have accounts with both. You might have a name on your one account that's, say, James, and on the other account it's Jim. And these are problems that merging two traditional databases, this is a really, really difficult problem. But on a blockchain where you have one account that is working across all these services, you have one name, that's much easier. That really solves this problem in a really elegant way.
Now, would you advise retailers to build their own blockchain-based loyalty programs, or would you advise them to wait and try to leverage an open loyalty protocol that someone else develops?
I think in this case, I would urge them to wait and look at different open protocols because you can build an amazing system, but if nobody uses it, it's essentially a sunk cost. And you can waste a lot of money and a lot of time creating amazing systems that nobody uses, which is certainly a challenge. So I think take the time over the next couple of years, watch, see what's happening in the retail space, in the blockchain space, go out and connect with people in the blockchain space and just see how they're developing things. Maybe consider being an advisor to an emerging blockchain company who has a really compelling use case for a blockchain loyalty program. Perhaps, I would definitely go that route.
Brandon, do you believe that retailers should transition their pre-existing loyalty programs to blockchain, or should they try to leverage blockchain solutions for loyalty that are provided by external organizations?
That's a really interesting question, and I can definitely see it going both ways. I think there's a huge advantage to transitioning an existing program to the blockchain. Like, you can definitely see the advantages in having, say, your customers run your nodes, as opposed to having to maintain the gigantic server infrastructure it takes to run a loyalty program and keep track of all the users, for instance. The users would love to run a node in exchange for more points. And most businesses that have these loyalty programs don't really want to run a data center to keep track of them. They're not in that business. That's not part of their core competencies. So I think there's some huge advantages there. And I don't think they should actually wait. There's no timeline for when there's going to be, say, an Ethereum standard for loyalty programs or loyalty tokens. And by the time that happens, I think you could have already been taking advantage of the blockchain and saved a lot of money in the process. So
wonderful. Now, if you were working with a retailer and you were taking a look at their pre-existing loyalty program, where would you start in trying to understand how to transition it to the blockchain? Do you start with the data? Do you start looking at the development resources? Where do you think the entry point is for a retailer in evaluating blockchain as part of their loyalty program?
Yeah, great question. I would definitely say look at the developer resources. There's a lot of platforms out there now, but in the long term, you're going to want to have a platform where there's going to be developers in the future, where you can trust the governance model. So Ethereum is kind of the name of the game right now. The second thing I would do is make sure that this company understands what this means, that this loyalty program is going to change because people will be trading these tokens potentially on various exchanges. People are going to be holding them for in case they appreciate. People are going to be speculating on these tokens. So it does create an economy around the loyalty program that doesn't exist currently. So once those two things have been ironed out, then we can really start thinking creatively on like what exactly that means for people.
Loyalty programs and transactions work hand in hand. The information needs to be passed between what is typically two different databases. Blockchain gives us the ability to potentially manage that within one database. When we look at transactions, returns, and warranties, retailers struggle across regions to maintain clear records of who their customers are, what they are buying, what's causing them to buy, and all of the other information around returns and warranties. In the US, retailers are dealing with a new wave of returns and exchanges as omnichannel and e-commerce systems become standard. How do we connect these e-commerce systems to our brick and mortar networks? Returns equate to approximately $260 billion in lost sales for US retailers annually. It's becoming increasingly difficult to spot fraudulent activity. Companies are searching for new methods to quickly identify fraudulent transactions and returns. By using blockchain, retailers can leverage an easier, more secure solution to authenticate and effectively manage transaction records. And Brandon, do you believe that retailers should use blockchain as a core piece of their technology stack to log transactions, returns, and warranty information for all of their consumer purchases?
That's a hard question right now because the two main platforms aren't really good at, say, returns, for instance. But there are some other platforms that are open blockchains as well that give, say, a company a little bit more control over that. We've seen, some of the, even like the social blockchains, like the Steam blockchain, for instance, has a system built in where you can post something to the blockchain and then it actually stays mutable, changeable for the next 7 days. That's something that, public blockchains are starting to incorporate. And I think if they stay on top of the technological advances in the space, then it can be really, really good. But they have to remember that this is a new space and it is moving much, much faster than even like internet technology did, a decade or two ago. And so that's really the key, is to stay on top of the new advancements that are coming in. There's things like ZK snarks and zero knowledge proofs, which are going to protect, customer privacy. And as long as they're integrating these new technologies in there, they should be perfectly fine. And they should get a lot of advantage out of it, actually.
So, Alex, you have experience building software development teams for companies across verticals. And I'm wondering, with your experience of building blockchain technology for your venture, do you see any big differences for developing for blockchain? And how would you suggest retailers start looking at bringing blockchain development and developers into their technology environment?
It's a really good question, James. What I would start with is start investigating and finding out more information. So start going out to meetups. There's some really great meetups that have excellent information and will connect you directly to blockchain developers. Start talking to advocacy groups as well, and start opening the lines of communication. You want to have a really compelling product and use case that you're developing. So some of the things around that, make sure that you've got a really good team and that they're ready to incorporate blockchain. Take some time and make sure that your solution is something that will allow that. There are a lot of companies that will be able to help you sort of with blockchain readiness. And definitely do your own research and take the time to forge the relationships and network. Definitely network and meet blockchain developers and talk about your potential ideas with them. Definitely include the blockchain community. Don't just do it. Don't just go it alone. That's the absolute worst case scenario. Make sure that you're engaging others in conversation.
Great. Now, Brandon, when you take a look at development teams and development teams within the retail sector, do you believe that retailers should be starting to include blockchain developers into their technology teams? Or do you think that they should incorporate blockchain through a partner?
There's a lot of value in actually bringing blockchain developers into your core team, because blockchain developers think differently. They've gone through this paradigm shift that most developers don't do. So blockchain development is a security first space, for instance. So if you look at the way blockchains are developed, they never develop past what they can secure. And this is in stark contrast to, say, like the Internet of Things, where they built out a ton of devices with a lot of features and then thought about security maybe. And bringing blockchain developers in with that security first mindset is really going to be a benefit to your entire team. Also, they're going to be able to look at different threat models. Blockchain developers think about threat models on like a worldwide, a global scale. They think about attackers who might not even want to take down your system like a traditional, say, denial of service attack, but actually just want to get in and cheat a little bit. That's a totally different adversary that you're dealing with, and blockchain developers have a lot of experience with that, and most other kind of developers don't. There's also some other things that blockchain developers are going to prepare you for in the future that I think any development team is going to have to deal with 10, 20 years in the future as the new generations come up. So for instance, blockchain developers blockchain development is a remote first workspace. And that's something that's been catching on in tech, but blockchain developers have totally accelerated that process. And blockchain developers believe that there's no geographical boundaries on talent. And so if you're not already in the remote first workspace, if you're not already hiring internationally, blockchain development is going to make you do that. You're going to see the talent all over the world. You're going to see it in Europe. You're going to see it in Africa and Asia. And also, there's some other things like, blockchain developers get really excited when you give them the opportunity to get paid in crypto. And these changes that the industry is going to make, hiring blockchain developers and bringing them into your team, I think is just going to help you get there faster.
What do you find to be the most challenging part of developing for the blockchain?
Sure. I'd say the most challenging, I'd say there's two things that are extremely challenging. One is the pace of innovation right now. There's so many parts of blockchain that were developed in, say, like the 70s or the 80s or the 90s that really didn't have good use cases. And then blockchain development has taken those technologies and kind of like thrown them into the public sphere. Like there's never been such movement around, say, public key infrastructure before. So many people now are learning to manage public keys and private keys and even understand what those things are. So I say just keeping up with the pace of innovation is one of the hardest parts.
Alex, what do you think is the most challenging thing for organizations when trying to conceptualize blockchain as a part of their system?
Yes. So one of the most challenging things is when you're thinking about blockchain, you automatically have to think differently. It's not something that you can just create and then modify. Once it's out there, it's out there. And it's an append-only ledger, essentially. That's the underlying mechanism. So anything that you do create will live within that blockchain forever. And it may fork, but you'll still have that old code to deal with. So it's quite a different way to look at development. Now, I need to preface this by saying that I'm not a developer. I do have a bit of a technical background, but just enough to get me in trouble. So, I think as well, one of the challenges is there's a lot of different protocols. It's a new industry. Newer industry. I mean, the concepts have been around since, the 70s and 80s, and cryptography has been around arguably for centuries, really. So when you bring that into developing software, you need to be very careful in what you're doing, and you need to consider not just what your use case is now, but what use cases will potentially be happening in the future. So it's interesting because you're kind of defining a market as you're creating it. And you need to be able to be nimble enough that you can keep up to the changes within that market that may change in a way that you didn't anticipate.
Okay, great. Thank you. Is there anything else that you want to say? Do you want to give just a quick promo to listen to your podcast or following Cnnect?
Yeah, you bet. So Cnnect is still being developed. We have a pretty solid team. We are looking for advisors as well. So if you're interested in being an advisor on the project or on the product, definitely reach out to me. I believe James will include all of our contact information below. And for the podcast, check us out on advancedtechmedia.org. We've got some really amazing episodes. We've got everything from really heavy technical episodes to people doing some amazing things in the startup and entrepreneurial space and finance space as well. So we'd love if you give our podcast a listen. We're also available on all of the platforms. So iTunes, Google Play, I think SoundCloud, Overcast, you name it, we're likely up there.
Brandon, do you want to tell us a little bit about your organizations and what you're trying to achieve with them?
Yeah, absolutely. So at the Oakland Blockchain Developers Group, We're really trying to change the face of tech. We believe that the blockchain space is going to be the new tech industry in the future, and so we want it to be a lot more diverse than the current tech industry is. So that was one of our founding missions, is to get more women and minorities in the space, and to educate them, and to also just give back to our community. Personally, I believe the definition of success is to create some new knowledge and then give that back to your community. So we kind of live under that ethos. I'm also part of the Berkeley Bitcoin group, which is part of blockchain at Berkeley. And we're doing a lot of great work there. There's a lot of great research around cryptoeconomics and personally cryptoeconomic security. A lot of people working for the Ethereum Foundation and on projects like Cosmos and Tendermint. A lot of great things going on there as well.
And we're going to have all that information below the webinar link. At Softvision, we see the power that blockchain technologies can have on systems and information. As a leader in technology development and digital transformation, we are focused on helping our customers and partners understand blockchain and map it to their organizational objectives. We developed the Softvision Blockchain Workshop as a program for engaging groups and stakeholders around the analysis and planning for blockchain technology. Our workshop typically occurs over 2 days, where we break blockchain benefits down, look for opportunities in its output, synthesize it with current systems and roadmaps, and evaluate the various costs of its implementation. We also help our customers develop blockchain proof of concepts and programs around their testing. Given the potential transformational impact of the technology on a wide range of systems, proof of concepts are necessary to determine next steps for architecture and development. Blockchain solutions will not always require custom development. The large business and infrastructure platforms in use today throughout the enterprise will provide blockchain capabilities and connectivity as a core part of their offering. This will eliminate the need for custom blockchain development, but require new ways of thinking about systems, updated integrations, as well as new accounting processes. Softvision is here to guide you through the process. Our blockchain program is one of the many ways we help organizations achieve digital innovation at scale, and we look forward to helping you take the next step.